Many new coaches ask me whether they should take on a role at a larger coaching company as they're getting started in setting up their own independent coaching practice. I'll give you some pros and cons about taking action like that in this video. So, as you're starting out, it may be difficult to establish enough coaching clients in the beginning to feel like you're making enough money. And obviously, revenue is important when you're starting a new business of any type. Coaching is one of those businesses that is generally a slower moving business in the beginning, but once it gets momentum, then usually rolls well throughout the years because you get repeat business, referrals, and new people coming in, hopefully through marketing that you're doing and other means. But going back to the beginning now, it can be difficult. What I did in the beginning is I actually took on some roles as a consultant with the small business development centers in San Francisco and San Jose. I also took on a teaching role at a local community college, all while trying to build my business coaching practice. That was the way I brought in additional revenue in the beginning. But those weren't exactly coaching roles. You may want to take on a coaching role with a larger coaching company so that you are doing coaching in your professional life all the time. This can be really helpful to accumulate coaching hours, practice, and confidence. So what are the pros and cons of joining a larger coaching company? I actually joined one for 5 years, so I feel like I'm fairly studied on this topic and can share some good ideas with you that are the positives and possibly the negatives. So the first positive that I can think about is naturally it can add to your stream of revenue. And that's true. Over the 5 years that I was a subcontractor with this larger coaching company, I was able to bring in additional revenue each and every year through the clients that they gave to me. Now, here's the downside of that. It will be probably not as much as you would like. And that's because you're being handed clients, right? You didn't have to go out and market yourself or sell yourself necessarily to get those clients. Though I will caution you that there are coach fit calls that are required even when you're working for another company. They don't just give you clients and guarantee that that client will work with you. There are times where that client may be evaluating you against other possible coaches on the bench of that larger coaching company. So you don't get every engagement that may come your way. So that's one thing to consider. And the second thing to consider is that you will probably be paid less than you would sell yourself for out in the open market because your services are being marked up by the larger company. They're taking a cut off the top and then paying you from what's left. So you're going to make less. Is that okay? This is a decision that you should make in the beginning. When I took the job with the coaching company, I said I wanted to make a minimum of X number of dollars per hour. The coaching company said, that's okay, but you probably won't get as many clients. Is that okay with you? Because what you're asking for, we only are able to pay out on higher level engagements with larger companies. So you may not get as much business as you'd like, but you'll get the compensation that you're asking for. And I said, that's fine. In your case, you may be willing to accept a lower level of compensation because it may serve other goals that you have. For example, if you're working towards an ICF credential, you need to accumulate a minimum of 100 hours of coaching with 8 different clients, and of which 75 of those hours need to be paid. You can do this by working for a larger coaching company. But here's the rub on that. Some of those companies are picky and will only hire coaches who already have an ICF credential. So while you're feeling that you're underselling yourself and gaining experience, they actually are selling you at a higher rate and selling you as a credentialed coach to the organization looking for coaching. It makes sense on both fronts, but unfortunately, the organization's interests are going to overpower yours, right? What they want is what's going to be required. So if you don't have a credential yet, you may find it a little bit harder to find a larger company that would hire you. They may hire you based on leadership experience that you have that shows that you're an experienced leader, and you may have a coaching certificate, if not a credential, from an organization like the ICF. So keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that once you do establish an earning level that you're comfortable with to supplement your income, you're either going to get too much business or too little business. And I say that because wouldn't it be wonderful if we wanted to spend exactly 5 hours a week doing coaching for an outside company and maintain that 5 hours a week each and every week? That would be wonderful. But the reality is something a little bit different. It's hard to just say to this larger coaching company, I only want to coach this minimum number of hours a week. What happens more often is that they're going to experience peaks and valleys just as you do in your business. And during the peak times, they're going to want you to coach more. And during the valleys, they're just not going to have as many clients for you. So it's still really important that you ensure that you're doing everything you can to bring in your own coaching business. And as you go forward, you will occasionally turn down clients because you're not available. You don't want to do this too much. Otherwise, they'll probably want to release you from their coaching bench because you're just not reliable. So you'll have to take on a minimum number of engagements to ensure a good relationship with this larger coaching company. What's another benefit? Well, that would be that you learn about how systems work inside of larger coaching companies. Generally, they're highly structured, well organized, and they have systems and processes that you'll need to follow as a member coach. I learned a lot about how to run a larger coaching company during my 5 years as a subcontractor. They used a portal, which I don't have, that you would log into and you record some very brief and basic notes that wouldn't violate confidentiality, but just to show that you did meet with the client, verify how long you met for, on what day, and so forth, because they have to track the engagement as it goes through. Certain milestone documents would be uploaded into the client's portal. So they were highly organized. And then that would document when you should get paid by keeping those records. So it was nice to see what a larger organization does. And they had certain worksheets that you could use with clients that would be helpful during the engagement. And I got to compare their business with my business and seeing how they differ. As my business scales, it'll probably have to become closer to their business. So that can be really helpful for you to see how larger organizations work. And then another benefit is that you can meet with clients in large companies that you might not otherwise get into, because there are some very large companies, such as Apple and Google, for example, that may use the services of large coaching organizations. And so you may become familiar with people in those organizations, and you might even be able to say that you've worked with people in those organizations and even have testimonials based on the work that you did. So that could help you down the road in getting additional work. Now, the downside of working with these people in larger organizations is that typically they're going to be at the mid levels. You usually won't be coaching executives in these larger organizations because they won't use these platform companies in all cases. Oftentimes they'll use executive coaches and pay higher rates, which is the work that we generally want as executive coaches, right? But you might not get the experience that you want. You may be working with a second level leader, which again may be good experience for you, accumulate hours, etc. But it may not set you up exactly for the type of work that you're actually aiming to get with your independent coaching practice. So there are pluses and minuses. Another minus is that you do have to keep up with the paperwork and the systems and the processes of working for the larger company. And sometimes that can feel tedious, but it's a requirement. So there you have it. I had a good experience for the 5 years. Eventually I grew out of it, and you should always be thinking about when you'll grow out of working with a larger company because you're getting enough business on your own that you don't need to align with a larger company anymore. And that was the decision that I made a few years ago. And you'll probably get to that too. If you have questions about this idea, this concept of working for a larger coaching company, place them in the comments. If you've had your own experience and you want to share about that, place them in the comments. I'd love to see them, as well as other viewers of this channel. If this video has been helpful to you, then I hope you'll consider going deeper with me and enrolling in the Center for Executive Coaching, because we have programs to suit all paces, all budgets, that can really accelerate and deepen your skills as an executive and leadership coach. And of course, we also provide a certification that is a good one out in the marketplace to show that you've gone through an accredited coach training program. And you can work your way towards an ICF credential with us, since we're a level 1 and level 2 program. So visit the centerforexecutivecoaching.com or email me at michael@BayAreaExecutiveCoach to learn more. You may also want to visit my blog site, which is BayAreaExecutiveCoachTraining.com, where there are other resources for new and somewhat experienced coaches too. And you'll be able to join my mailing list, schedule time to talk with me about the centerforexecutivecoaching.com. And lastly, I'd also like you to consider visiting my LinkedIn company page, Bay Area Executive Coach. Look for it on LinkedIn. You'll find that we post resources each week that can help you to accelerate your understanding of executive and professional coaching and give you lots of ideas and tips on how to deepen your coaching as well. So there's a lot that you can do with me, plus subscribing to this channel, liking this video, and sharing it with others. Thank you very much.